Hey, what's happening, CS Tiers? Welcome to the big show here this Monday evening. Glad you're with us. I'm Nick Seuberling. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. Another week of no official signings from FC Cincinnati, but we certainly got more rumors about potential signings, so we're going to touch on that a little bit later on in this show. We did get some news around the surrounding the soccer scene in Cincinnati, though not with FC Cincinnati, but with the new USL League Two team, Kingshammer FC. And so discussing that tonight with us a little bit later on the show is former FC Cincinnati defender and now current head coach of Kingshammer FC, Paul Nicholson. Nico's going to be joining us a little bit later on in the show to talk about his new role and the new role that Kingshammer FC will be playing in the Cincinnati soccer ecosystem. Of course, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, we appreciate all your comments. We read them each and every week. And if you're listening to us after the fact, you can always follow us on Twitter at Cincy Soccer Talk or email us feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. It's been a few weeks, but I'm excited to welcome back to the program the one and the only Geoff Tebbetts. Geoff, welcome back to CST. How are you?
Doing pretty good. This is my official ode to Daft Punk. You know, great music that they've performed for all these years.
For folks listening to the audio podcast, Geoff is wearing some light up. What are those? Just light up glasses?
Light up sunglasses. They're the hit of the summer. But yeah, basically that, and also the news of the dynamic kit coming through for FC Cincinnati's brand new home kit that they're going to unveil pretty soon on Thursday. I'm pumped for it. It looks like it's going to be ultraviolet, and I can't wait to see it.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you back on the show, Geoff, and looking forward to getting your take on everything that's been going down the last week here in Cincinnati regarding some soccer. Let's also, man, I cannot speak tonight. Let's also welcome back to the show the Wolf Man, Bill Wolf.
Hey. Yeah.
Oh.
I miss Clay so bad. I never thought I'd say that. All right, moving on. Yeah, great to be here in sunny Cincinnati. It's great to look outside and see that beautiful weather. And I'm kidding. Of course, it still sucks out, but yeah, at least we're not in Texas, right, Mike?
Ooh, that's a sore subject. Before we get to Mike, I've got to do this. For some reason, it didn't play when I pressed the button. And I know how disappointed Laurel's daughter would be if she did not hear the wolf sound. So I've got to play it. We're glad to have you back on the show, Bill. And last but certainly not least, we welcome back to the program the professional, the one and only Michael Lahoud. Mike, what's going on, man? You staying warm down there in sunny Texas?
That one hurt, Wolfman. That one hurt. No, I'm. We survived Snowvid 21. If it's not COVID, it's a snowstorm that'll get you here in Texas. Never thought I would see snow in Texas and San Antonio, South Central Texas, but it makes you really grateful. And I think I'm coming out of it feeling extremely grateful to have the basics of life, which is never thought I'd be grateful to have water, shelter, food, and of course, Wi-Fi. So shout out to all those things. Good to be back on the show.
Yeah, we missed you last week.
Wish I was on last week, but really just glad to be warm. It's little things. So looking forward to a really good show tonight.
Did it make you miss Cincinnati?
No. I say that because as bad as it was to not have the preparations in place here in Texas, I mean, it snows in parts of Texas. West Texas, it snows. To not have the right things in place from a leadership standpoint and overall infrastructure standpoint, the beauty of living here in Texas is it was 70 degrees today and yesterday. Really? And it's going to be probably almost in the 80s by the weekend. So never thought I'd say it, but I love Texas for that reason.
This is where we go back to hating you, Mike.
And mute.
Yeah, we're going to mute you. 80 degrees. Wow, that certainly would be nice. It's been very frigid here in Ohio. Lots of cold weather, lots of snow. So apparently up here in Toledo, we got the snowstorm that everybody else down there was supposed to get. All that talk of 12 to 17 inches. Well, that ended up happening here. So we've got like 15 inches of snow on the ground at the moment, and I don't see it melting anytime soon. Although apparently we're supposed to be warming up next week. So fingers crossed. But this is not Cincinnati weather talk. Let's talk a little soccer, shall we, gentlemen? So no new signings. We do have some rumors. A report that came out last week, I believe, was from the Post. Bill, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Post Cincy was the first to report this here locally.
I think that's correct.
That FC Cincinnati are in the running for Newcastle United midfielder Kyle Scott. Now, Kyle Scott is currently with the Newcastle U23s. He arrived from Chelsea in the 2019 season. He started off as a Chelsea Youth Academy product. At some point during his time at Chelsea, he was loaned to a team in Holland. And maybe that's where the connection arrived, right? The whole Dutch thing that we've got going on, apparently. I don't know if that's true, but you never know. He was loaned to Telstar there in Holland, and then he made one appearance for Chelsea. And it was a very brief appearance for about 20 minutes in an FA Cup game against
Hull City.
Hull City. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, 4-0 at about 28 minutes there.
Yeah. So again, didn't get a whole lot of senior time at Chelsea. He hasn't gotten any senior time with Newcastle at the moment. What we can tell you is that he is of English and American citizenship. He would not count as an international spot if arriving to Cincinnati. We don't know what kind of transfer fee is involved. We are hearing reports that Newcastle is requesting a very large sell-on fee if FC Cincinnati were to move him on in the future. So there's a lot up in the air that we don't know about. We don't know a whole lot about Kyle Scott and what kind of player he is going to be. So, Bill, let's talk about it a little bit, right? I mean, this is a player we've been linked with Pity Martinez. We've been linked with Luciano Costa. And now here we are being linked with Kyle Scott. Relatively, I'm not trying to say he's an unknown name in soccer circles. He has played with U.S. youth national teams in the past, but this was, when we go from Pity to Luciano Acosta to now this, you're kind of maybe left scratching your head a little bit.
A little bit. I'm hoping that this is not like a couldn't get Pity, go for Acosta, couldn't get Acosta, go for Scott kind of thing. I'm hoping this is unrelated. It just doesn't seem like we're talking about another 10 type of signing. He certainly is known for playing in the midfield, but not necessarily being an attacking, creative 10 kind of player from what I've been able to glean from what little bit we found out. Honestly, for me, if you go back to what Gerard has been saying for quite a while now, he's talked about, needing a striker. Check. Brenner fills that box for us. He's talked about needing a 10, obviously PD, Acosta potentially fill the 10 spot. There's been talk about needing another winger. And then obviously a center back. And those have been kind of the four spots that we've heard over and over again. And I think most of us agree that that's the right, at least top priority, top four positions right now to fill. I don't know where Scott fits into that. So I'm not sure why we would be overly interested in this signing.
Yeah. And I guess the bigger question too, Jeff, is if FC Cincinnati were to sign him, is he going to fill a senior roster spot, or is this going to be a supplemental roster spot? And along with Bill, what are your thoughts on where you see this signing fitting? You have muted yourself, Jeff. It's okay. We'll allow it.
Strike one, right?
Yeah.
I have a hard time really figuring out where he fits into the scheme of things. If this is sort of an emergency, you can't get PD, you can't get Acosta, so you go for the ninth best thing. I'm kind of surprised that they're grasping at these straws. But when I first looked at him, I was surprised that he was with Chelsea. I think there's still a lot of stock to be held in that. I just don't know what you do with someone who Chelsea hasn't wanted to play on their front team, or probably didn't have room to play. And I look at him and I see, someone like a Caleb Stanko. I'm like, I don't know where he fits. I think it would, in a perfect world, I really would have waited to see if he was available for a free transfer in the summer, because Newcastle, basically he's out of contract, I think in July. So I don't know where he fits, but I've been fooled. I've been impressed by other things.
Mike, you got any thoughts on this?
I'll keep it simple. Next.
Wow. How do you really feel?
Yeah, don't need him. The Brenners, that's the type of signings, and those are the type of players that FC Cincinnati, if they're going to go and get something in the foreign market, get the Brenners. If go back, we're thinking of, if this is a role player, if this is another Caleb Stanko, which it very much seems like this is in the fold of and kind of the makings of, leave it be. Next, you can get domestic talent. Look at what other teams are doing. They're getting young guys who are USL or MLS, hybrid sort of players who are young, who won't hit you on the cap and not worth the time. Next, I want to more Fogo de Chao, please. Go back to Brazil and get another Brenner. That's my take on it.
What do you think? And again, this is a lot of folks see this move as, especially with the news that we've read about recently about Frankie Amaya wanting to leave, right? People thinking that it's a replacement for Frankie. I don't know if that's the case. A lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute. We had somebody like Kyle Scott and Tommy McCabe a year ago, and we let him walk. So again, it's hard for me to sit here and compare Tommy McCabe to Kyle Scott, right? Kyle Scott's playing for the Newcastle U23s. Tommy McCabe, I think, is out in Orange County now playing, or I can't remember where he ended up signing for. But I know that's different levels, but
is Tommy playing?
Right. That's a good point. That is a good point. So clearly Michael not on board with this one. Geoff, Bill, are either one of you, are you kind of in the same boat?
No, I'm 100% with Michael on this one. At this point, we've got a bunch of quality players, on our roster. What we need is impact players, and I don't see him being an impact player.
Yeah, I think the sad thing about it is that because we're reaching for the next star, and the person we're reaching for, unfortunately, they're in sort of the broadcast zone. So, we're like, okay, that's nice, but this is something that probably should have been announced 2 months ago, back when Stanko wasn't an option, or back when, they were re-signing people who were out of contract. So I'm just kind of surprised that they waited this long to bring him in.
We did get this comment in our Facebook, and this kind of will lead us into we can go to this as our next segment, because you and I, Michael, were not here last week to discuss the Frankie news, but Zach Holbrook on Facebook, he says, is he being Kyle Scott, our Frankie replacement? So let's touch on that a little bit, right? I mean, I don't know if they are a like for like fit here, but let's go back and talk about your thoughts when you read that news that Frankie had requested a trade. As a former player, what's going through your mind when you're reading something like that?
I don't like how it was handled. I don't like how it's being handled. A player should never go to the press. And Michael Jordan didn't even go to the press for something like that. And he never asked for a trade. And it's going to sound harsh, but I'm shocked that Frankie, and we'll put Frankie, because I don't think that was Frankie. I think that's the player's agent, to be very honest with you. You see this a lot of times. You see it in Europe. You see Pogba saying stuff. You see Riola really being masterminds. So there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than meets the eye, but I didn't really like that move to go through The Athletic, and their reputable source, of course, but to use the media to say, I want out. And I can also understand from a player standpoint that when teams want to make an offer for you and it gets put in the media that it's 7 figures, maybe there's a contract. I personally think that players do that when they want more money, when they're thinking about the short term and the financial implications of things. And so there's a lot that we don't know. But from a former player and looking at how I would take that, I don't like it. I think it puts Frankie in a very difficult situation, because if you do that after you scored a hat trick, okay, you can force a move, but you've done that before any ball is kicked. You're only good to the team that wants you if you're playing. And mind you, Frankie didn't score 30 goals last year. He scored 1. How many assists? So yes, you're young. Yes, your potential. But if you're going to do that, make sure that you are MLS Team of the Week. Make sure you just got a U23 call-up. You can't force a move for working hard and being a hard-working player. Like I just don't understand the thought process behind this. And maybe a deal is going to be sorted out, but he's done something very foolish, I think. And FC Cincinnati have all the cards. They have everything in their favor, and they don't have to play him. If he doesn't want to be there, well, there's a good spot on the bench for him. And if I'm FC Cincinnati, I want guys who want to be here. And you can't convince someone who doesn't want to be here, especially someone who's young, who hasn't made an all-star team, hasn't gotten the U.S. national team cap, and is barking out through the media, I want out. The club doesn't see me in their plans. I'm not happy here. So I think it's going to be a very difficult stay for Frankie Amaya this year at FC Cincinnati. And, it's one thing to rub your team the wrong way. It's another thing to potentially rub the fans who make you, the player that you are, in terms of you're one of the fan favorites. And now you have a fan base who is now questioning your loyalty, who's now questioning, do we even like you? And so I don't like the move. I think if you're going to do something like that ever as a player, you always do it when you have a lot of leverage. And right now, I don't think Frankie has any leverage, and I think it's a bad move by him.
I'm curious. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what does this do to the locker room? I mean,
that's a good question. I think if this was a team that had established a winning culture before and come from winning pedigree in terms of successful past seasons, if this is a Seattle, we're not going to say Columbus because we don't talk about them on the show. If this is your Seattles, your Toronto FCs, I can guarantee you a Michael Bradley is having a word. A Michael Bradley is giving you a call as soon, saying, what in the HE double hockey sticks, family-friendly show, are you doing? You are 24 years old.
He's not even 24. He's 20.
20. Yeah.
He's 20. Oh, I got to update my Wikipedia then. You are 20 years old, dude. You played 2 seasons in the league. What are you thinking is what I would say to him if I was in one of those locker rooms. And also, you don't know everything that's happening. If Frankie feels like, obviously, someone in his camp feels like it's time to move on, then okay, that's one thing. But I think with all the excitement about Brenner and PT and Acosta, this leaves a little bit of a sourness in the air if you're in the locker room of, really, like, now, now this is part of the bad press that we're getting again as FC Cincinnati. We just, new stadium, baller, striker that's coming in. There's positive news with Lacadia coming back, and now this is a distraction that is frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bummer we weren't able to have you on the show last week, because I think it would have been real poignant to have you on the show to get your thoughts on this. But yeah, for me, look, I talked it a little briefly on the Best Soccer Show a couple weeks ago. I said, for a guy who wants to, I don't know, I guess maybe he feels like he wants to be playing maybe further up the field rather than being a box-to-box midfielder. again, I've got to see that. I'm not seeing that on the field with him. Like if that's really where you want to be, I'm not seeing where you're showing the ability to unlock a defense. Like I have not seen that at all. And that's kind of what the 10 has to be, Bill. Like that's just not what he has shown. And maybe that's because, you know, they have been limited. Like they didn't have Cruz last year, right? They didn't get to play him as much as they wanted to. But now if he's healthy, you got to think that Jaap Stam's thinking, well, I'm playing him over Frankie because why? I'm so baffled by him coming out and doing this now. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know how he recovers from this easily. He certainly has something to prove now
for sure.
Jaap Stam. And you know, I think I said it on the show last week. The people that are happy about this are, you know, Caleb Stanko, Alan Cruz, Harris Medunian, Makocho, because those are the other guys basically sitting in that 6-8 position, wondering how much playing time they're going to get. And Jaap Stam has been talking Frankie up nonstop. Gerard has been talking Frankie up nonstop. He is part of our plans. He is part of our future. He is part of our core. You have to expect that means, and it has meant, he's getting a lot of playing time at the detriment of other players. And now this comes out. It's very frustrating as a fan, certainly, to hear it. But as far as sorry, Mike, I'll finish.
No, it's okay. Go on.
But as far as the 10 thing, I mean, I know people are speculating that a little bit. You know, Michael made a comment about money in there, and the timing of this comes right after we hear about all the offers that got turned down. It really just felt like money is involved at this point. Certainly when you start looking into these things and you're trying to read between the lines and you feel like there's an agent involved, agents don't care what position you're playing in, but they want their cut. Right. So
that's the thing. He's a GA. It doesn't make sense for FCC to renegotiate that right now.
They can't, actually. I don't think FCC has the power to renegotiate it. It's a 3-year contract.
What are they doing?
I mean, you as an MLS player, you sign with MLS. So he has a contract with MLS playing for FCC, and it's a 3-year Generation Adidas contract with MLS. They're not going to.
So I go back to the foolishness of this. This is tomfoolery. I had to look that one up. This is tomfoolery, folks. It's just not wise to do it. You haven't kicked the ball yet for this season. You're a GA. You're going into the final year of your GA deal where now you can actually sign a better deal. I think this is a massive mistake in Frankie's camp. And it reminds me of some of what you see in Europe with Emilio Riola, where you have an agent who is probably pushing something for, you know, like the Wolfman said, money or a better situation, financial implications, and the player is now between a rock and a hard place. And I have a personal experience in this where I never came out in the media or asked for anything, but I remember I had a playing preference. When I was in Philadelphia, one of the coaches that had such an impact on me was Mike Seuberling, who's the assistant coach at LAFC. And he was one of the hardest coaches I ever had. And I remember going to him my last year in Philadelphia and dealt with injuries, dealt with form and everything. And I felt like it was going to be my year. I'll never forget in preseason, he sits me down and he said, what position do you want to play? And I said, I want to be, I could be an 8. I need to be higher up the field. I can do this. I can do that. I'm mobile. And he said, what do you think about playing as a 6? I said, nah, I'm not really a 6. It's too easy. I can offer more. And he said, well, on your Sunday league team, you can play as a 10, you can play as an 8. But what this team needs is a 6. And you are the only person that we have that can do what you do. And if you decide you want to play on this team, you will not leave the field. If you want to play as a 10, an 8, a winger, whatever, go play somewhere else or go to your Sunday league team. And I sat there baffled, but it was the greatest advice he gave, because you are only as good as what the team needs. And if you are needed as a 6 or an 8, that means you will get to play. If you think you're a 10, but you're not good enough to play in the team that you're on as a 10, you will not play. So for Frankie, the fact that he's come out and done this, I think it's really going to hurt his chances. in showcasing and proving that value that he thinks he's worth in trying to get a move elsewhere. Because teams don't choose players. They don't trade for players who are not going to play and who aren't playing. And it just doesn't happen that way. So like I said earlier in the show, if you're going to do something like this, you do it after you've made a statement in terms of how you're playing, after you've scored some goals. If you want to go to another team because you think you're a 10 or an 8, or you want to play higher up the field, show it on the field in stats. Have the stats back it up. Numbers never lie. People do. And I just think this is going to come back to bite him in the you-know-what.
I think the issue that I have, and this I think piggybacks on what Mike's talking about. Let's say that Amaya does get the deal to go somewhere else, or the whole idea of, hey, if you think you're good, go play somewhere else. What if he takes this attitude to an LAFC or a Seattle or a Galaxy, and his agent puts out the same thing after his third year in there, and he says, I deserve more, I deserve better, but he hasn't shown it. It has the potential, I think, to spiral out of control if he's not able to show his true worth in his first few years.
Yeah, look, I think this was unfortunate. Maybe one of those maybe learning moments for young Frankie Amaya. There's a lot of veterans in that locker room who are going to be like, what the heck, man? And, the thing is with Jaap Stam, he doesn't put up with BS, right? I mean, he's the last guy to want to have to deal with any of this stuff. So I would think he would want to be on his good side. Last thing I want is for Jaap Stam to be angry at me, knowing he's definitely got an angry side in him for sure. So we'll see. Look, it is what it is. Now the question is, how does he respond to this? How does Jaap Stam respond to this? And so we'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of time between now and the first game kicking off, and so maybe all will be fine by then. I don't know, but still, this was the biggest reason I wanted to bring it up again a week later is because we wanted Mike's obviously his perspective, being a former player in the league, being somebody in that locker room who maybe has dealt with other players like this in the past. So we'd love your feedback, though. Email us feedback@cincinnatissoccertalk.com. Or again, you can hit us up on Twitter as well @Cincy Soccer Talk. All right, it's that time of the show where we give a big shout out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. So let's give it up to Tim Bronsel, Tom Rose, Matt Adamchick, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Coling, Tara Mullins, Riley Stephen Burke, and Melissa Bingle. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to cincinnattisoccertalk.com/support. All right, let's welcome in on the CST hotline. He is the new head coach of Kingshammer FC of USL League Two, and you know him as a former defender at FC Cincinnati from class number 1 of the original club. We welcome into the show Paul Nicholson. Paul, welcome back to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you?
Good to be back, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have one of the originals on the show. So let's talk about Kingshammer FC and USL League Two, Paul. So why a USL League Two team here in Cincinnati? Obviously, we had one with the Dutch Lions in years past, but why bring it back?
I think, the main reason, and this is something that we've explored over the past couple of years, through my previous clubs and, with the work that we've done with the under 23s in general, it's just a massively underserved age group. And I think this is something that for us specifically as a group and as a club, we're able to provide something for our families, but also to provide a level of play that's extremely high, that's, bringing in some of the best quality non-professional players in the country to Cincinnati. And it's ultimately just going to give our families and our players in particular a really good example and something to aspire to one day play on. So we're trying to, emulate what you see overseas with youth clubs having a first team and something to shoot for those players.
So, Paul, for some of our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with USL2, obviously previously with the PDL, maybe give a little just a background on what USL2 is. Sort of what the target player is, when the season takes place, and let us know, what division or how divisions are set up and what division we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a couple of questions there, but it's touted as the top pre-professional league in the country. So it falls in the summer months. In between May and July is predominantly when the season falls. So a lot of college guys, a lot of the top level college guys. I think Mike has played in this in the past. I played in it a long time ago now, and basically they'll come in with a mix of guys who are maybe out of college, looking for contracts, and compete for those 3 months to try and get to the next level, or at least get some exposure to get to that next level. We'll start May 1 training, obviously COVID permitting. Hopefully things stay on the downward trajectory and everything's good from that standpoint. But yeah, we start May 1, we'll run all the way through to the middle of July. If we make the championships, it's every weekend after that. But we'll be playing teams from this general area, but a lot of teams are in Michigan. We play Toledo, we play Dayton. They'll be kind of our closest games. And we've also got in our conference the reigning champions in the Michigan Bucks. So that'll be a fantastic, the Flint City Bucks. That'll be a fantastic test for us, because I'm sure they'll be a strong team as usual. So.
Hey, Paul, it's been great to see you sort of join the USL2, in one of its infant stages a few years ago, 2018, when you joined to be the Dutch Lions head coach. Now that you're on a brand new squad that's with some familiar faces helping the coaching, has your personal coaching philosophy changed ever since 2018?
I think it's always. It's one of those things that's ever evolving, and something that as a coach you're wanting to improve and perfect and to better every single year. Now, obviously, there's been a year miss, so to speak, in that development standpoint. But I think my general principles and the way that I see the game being played haven't necessarily changed too much. I want to, put on a show for people that come and watch. I know that's important to the club as well. So I think if anything, it lines up perfectly with what Kings Hammer's about. An attacking style of football that's going to get hopefully people off their seats and coming back for more. So, as a coach, I think it's very important just to continue to try and evolve and pick up new things along the way. And I've spent the majority of 2020 trying to learn new things that I can hopefully put into place this coming summer.
Paul, this is Michael Lahoud. Quick question for you: How will Kings Hammer FC benefit the Cincinnati soccer ecosystem?
In a lot of ways, really. And I don't want to. Obviously, this is a Kings Hammer team, but there's a lot of people that this can, that can benefit from this. This is another high level of soccer that people can come and watch and enjoy in the city. Obviously, it's going to be affordable. It's going to be during the time of the year when kids are off school and hopefully are wanting to catch some soccer. And I think any youth player that's aspiring to get to that next level can come and watch this and really see the next generation of professional soccer players. And that's what this is all about, right? Like we're trying to connect the youth to the pros, and I think the USL2 really does that.
We're hanging out with Paul Nicholson, former FC Cincinnati defender and current head coach of Kings Hammer FC here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. And Paul, we got this question from Twitter, and you may or may not be able to answer this, but this question did come up when this announcement was made last week a lot, and how the two clubs, Kings Hammer FC and FC Cincinnati, can kind of coexist, right? This question came from Joe Scroggin on Twitter. He says, at least in the short term, does FC Cincinnati form any kind of partnership with the new Kings Hammer League Two team to get FC Cincinnati's younger players more time on the pitch? Obviously, it's kind of difficult with USL League Two being more of an amateur league than it is a professional league. But is there even that potential, or can you even comment on something like that?
There's a really good relationship there between the two clubs, and if anything, over with Kings Hammer getting involved, that's only strengthened. We want to better soccer in this area, and if it's helping out youth players to get more time on the pitch and to get some exposure, then we're all about that. I think in the past, it's like I said, the relationship's been there. They've certainly helped me with identifying players from the college game that they'd like to see in this area, that they'll come and watch. And that's obviously a massive draw for some of our guys to come in and to be in an area like this. We're talking about FC Cincinnati, and that's the big fish in the pond, so to speak. But there's also Louisville. There's Indy 11. There's a lot of professional teams. One I can't mention because apparently it doesn't get mentioned on the show in this area that can benefit from our club bringing in some of the top talents that they could potentially draft to pick up in the off season. So again, a good relationship with FCC. Nothing as specific as a partnership, but conversations there.
What about, coming back away from the big FCC fish out there, but what about Kings Hammer? I mean, this is a big change from, a youth program. If you look at the other youth programs in Cincinnati, none of them have a USL 2 team. So, how does this benefit Kings Hammer players? I mean, what does this mean for a player in Kings Hammer? And obviously when you're recruiting, I guess, is this in some way preference Kings Hammer players, or is there anything, are you only looking at Kings Hammer players? Where is your players pool coming from?
My player pools, it's a really good question. My player pool comes from all over the country and even sometimes overseas. It's we want to be extremely competitive, but at the end of the day, we are a youth club, and we want to give our players an opportunity to not only see high level soccer, but if they're of the level where they can come in and compete, day to day in training or potentially in games, that's certainly things that we're going to look to do. And that doesn't, yes, that's about Kings Hammer, but it could also be players from other clubs as well. It's about being as competitive as we possibly can and providing, like I said at the start, an opportunity for lads that are within that age range between say 19 and 23 that are looking for an environment to play and compete and continue to get better over a month or 2 or 3 months, where there's really not a lot going on for a lot of folks. So on top of the USL 2 stuff, with regards to local players as well, there's opportunities within the club and within the area through the Ohio Valley Premier League as well. So I think we can work as a group there to provide more opportunities for more kids.
Can you maybe provide a little bit of insight in terms of Brendan Ponchak joining you? He was with the Dutch Lions as well, so he's sort of going along with you to join. Can you maybe talk about his role a little bit within the Kings Hammer?
Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted that Brandon decided to come across and to join us with this venture. In my opinion, Brandon is the best at what he does at this level. Like, I can't imagine anybody doing a better job than him with regards to not only what he does for the players on the field, but what he does behind the scenes in terms of registration, in terms of managing and building this club, this USL 2 club up from the ground up. Is there's nobody better suited for that role than Brandon, and we're really fortunate to have him on board with us. So yeah, definitely good to be working with him again, and looking forward to getting back on the pitch.
Question for me, Paul. Kings Hammer has been known to have a strong women's program. Is there any vision to mirror what's been done with this USL 2 team on the women's side?
Yeah, that's another fantastic question, and something that we'll absolutely be trying to provide and get out there, it's something that we're working on as a project. And I think, our families and those in this area will get some good news in that regard in the next couple of weeks. So can't say too much right now, but there's definitely something there. The King's Hammer, you're right, has had a fantastic women's program for a long time. And I think it's again, that age range between 19 and 23, we want to make sure we're providing for those players that have been with the club and maybe want to come back to Cincinnati and compete.
Well, Paul, we are very excited for you. We're very excited for King's Hammer as well. To see the amount of growth just in that club, just in just a small amount of time that FC Cincinnati has been around, has been tremendous. Since we've got you on the show, and as a former player of FC Cincinnati, we've got to ask you an FCC question, right? I mean, it's kind of we got to ask you. So, like,
oh boy,
when you've seen some of the off-season signings. Heading into the 2021 season, and now you've got Jaap Stam, who in theory, they should have a full preseason with a head coach for the first time. Man, I think since I can't even remember, it might have been 2019. So what are your expectations for FC Cincinnati? What is it that you're seeing? I'm asking you to look into that crystal ball and look at what's going on with the club.
Man, I don't know if I have a crystal ball. It was fascinating listening to you guys speaking earlier about some of the signings and some of the goings on over the last couple of years. I think if anything for FCC, what I want to see is just some consistency. It's not been there since we got going. I think it's been up and down, and there's been good things. There's been some things that haven't been quite as good, and I think it's important to get consistency. So I think the biggest thing going into this year that's really going to benefit them is having Jaap Stam, having him be able to get a full preseason in with the squad, and really work with him to stamp down his style of play and the way he wants to see things, as well as Jaap bringing in the players that he wants to bring in as well, and getting through, like I said, that preseason is going to be massive. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I could say, that they're going to go on and win the whole thing. But, we've got to be realistic. And I think, just getting some consistency to start off with and a platform to build from going into the new stadium is what's needed right now. And hopefully they can bring that.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here, Paul. I was texting with Michael earlier tonight, asking him, did you two play together? And then I guess he came in a year after you left. So your final year with FCC was what, 2017, and then Mike arrived in 2018.
Yeah,
so your paths never crossed. I was surprised by that.
No, I was looking some stuff up earlier, and I think we might have crossed paths in the PDL a long time ago, and back in the old USL2, but. And he was playing for the Dynamo, and I was playing for the West Virginia Chaos back then while I was in college. But other than that, I don't. We never got to play with each other, which is unfortunate. But actually, I think the closest we came was probably a rain delay in Miami in 2017. So
that's right, in the Open Cup.
Yeah, I was all set to play in that game, and then Mother Nature had different plans. So it's. We were fortunate that year though that one got rained off, and we got them at a better time, because I think they were certainly on a roll at that point in the season. So sorry to bring that up, Mike, but we were lucky we didn't have to play that weekend.
No, Paul, as soon as you said PDL in West Virginia, I definitely remember you. And I feel like the body always keeps the score, and you always remember the guys who kicked you the hardest. And as soon as you said that, like my right shin, I was like, God, yeah, I remember him. The West Virginia team you guys were solid, man. I did not like playing against you guys.
Yeah, I was probably kicking you because I was trying to keep up, but no, there were some good battles. You guys had some fantastic players. I think Corbin Bone played around that time. I don't know if he was necessarily on your team. Cody Arnault, who I played with in Wilmington, was also a Wake Forest guy that you played with, I think, and they were pretty special, those groups. So it was always a good test.
Brilliant.
Well, fantastic, Paul. We appreciate you being on the show. Of course, we're going to have you on closer to the season as well. Hopefully, we'll have more news about some player. Are they signings, or I guess how does that work? They're not really signings, but I guess what are their agreements?
I guess you could call them agreements, but they will be signing some paperwork. That's for sure, just to get them in the door. But we'll be calling them signings. I think. I spoke to Bill a couple of days ago before the announcement came out, and we've got some, hopefully some very exciting signings that are going to get the people in the city, excited and wanting to come to the game. So we'll certainly let you guys know and hopefully get back on the show before the season gets going to announce that stuff.
And are you going to miss NKU? Are you excited about Xavier?
I'm excited about Xavier. I think it provides, some fantastic opportunities for all in this area, not only in Northern Kentucky, but also in Greater Cincinnati and those surrounding areas. Sometimes people in Cincinnati have a bit of a tough time crossing that bridge for whatever reason. So I'm excited for that. I think the crowds are going to be up and all those kind of things. But Xavier's a special place, just like NKU was. I think we played a lot of preseason games against Xavier, and that stadium and how it's sort of dug into the ground there, it really provides a different atmosphere, and hopefully we can create that during the summer months.
Well, we're again, as a former player at FC Cincinnati, we are always rooting for you. We love seeing what you're doing there over at King's Hammer, and we're hoping for big things for you here in 2021 with the new venture. And best of luck, and we're looking forward to have you back on the show here real soon, Paul.
Appreciate it, Nick. Nice to speak to you guys. Thank you.
Take care. That's Paul Nicholson joining us here on the CST hotline. Always good catching up with Paul. I'll tell you what, to me, he will be a legend at FC Cincinnati. Again, class number 1. Those guys will always be legends in my book. So pretty exciting times for Paul. And like I said, we're always thrilled to see where he's going in his coaching career. Kind of like you, Mike. We're excited for you as well now that you're coaching as well. So get in touch with us. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. If you got any questions about King's Hammer, we'll certainly do our best to answer those. We've got a lot of folks that are very knowledgeable when it comes to this USL League Two stuff. I don't want to say, I don't want to give Boston too big of a head, right? But like, he kind of knows his stuff when it comes to the USL League Two stuff. That's kind of his realm, right? So I don't want him getting too excited. But yes, we do have some folks that are pretty knowledgeable. Ryan Sparks also has covered the team, the USL League Two touchlines in past. He will be covering them again for us this year. And we also plan to have a podcast devoted strictly to King's Hammer FC coverage this year. So we're very excited about that. All right. Before we wrap things up here this week on the show, it's a big week if you like kits. Geoff teased it a little bit earlier, but on Thursday, we are going to finally have the new 2021-22 kit revealed, Jeffrey. So let's take a look back, right? Let's before we kind of preview or offer up our thoughts on the new kit. Were you a fan of the kit this year? Were you a fan of the old kit, the little shield design?
The only reason I'm a fan of the kit this year is because I got it cheap. They've been selling them, scaled down price, of course, but I mean, it wasn't the best of designs, but I can sort of look at everything that's come across this year and sort of say, I think everybody deserved a mulligan this year. There really weren't a ton of the 25th anniversary kits that stood out to me. Maybe the ones that were just simple enough, purple and white or something like Minnesota's that were just clean and easy, but there really weren't a lot to write home about. I think a lot are going to be forgotten from the past year.
So Geoff was a fan because he got it cheap, Bill. I think you were correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to go back a year and just thinking about all the Slack discussions we had when the kit was revealed. I think, were you one of the few on board with it? Like, were you a fan of it?
Oh, I don't know if I'd go as far as saying a fan, but it's one of those things that it seems like whenever a new kit comes out, the haters just like flood out. And
there will be on Thursday.
There will be, exactly. People are going to hate this one because, it's new and it's a kit and people have to hate kits. But no, I think that, like Geoff said, I mean, it wasn't awe-inspiring. A lot of people really hated several things about it. I remember one was they hated the navy, right? The fact that we have kind of that third color, that dark accent blue that they actually just made half the kit. And I get that. I actually didn't mind it. For me, I was fine with the navy. I thought it was interesting to get that new shade in there. So no bother for me on the navy. The other one was that it wasn't symmetrical, which I guess some people really don't like kits that aren't symmetrical, with the slashes across or the, whatever across. They don't like those. And this one had the 3 stripes, right? So, but that of course wasn't our decision. That was an MLS thing. But it also, I don't mind kits that aren't symmetrical. So, I mean, I kind of like the fact that it was different. I like the fact that we brought a new color out. What I'd like is to see us, being very bold and having, no real fears to try different things. And I thought it was great that we tried something different. Last thing I want is for our kits to you get stale and just look the same every year. So yeah, I was fine with it. I think I'm going to like this year's kit better.
And you've seen it already, haven't you?
I have seen a picture of it quite a while back.
All right, fair enough. You don't have to go to. I just when you said what you said, I was like, oh, that's right. He's kind of probably already seen it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, they do kind of, reach out sometimes to some of the supporters and such, and ask some opinions just to bounce ideas off of them. And I think in general, the people who have seen this kit responded better to it, I would say, than they did to the 2020 kit.
Well, that's good. That's promising.
Orange kit, orange kit, orange kit.
2022.
Oh,
next year.
Oh, all right. Bjorn in the chat room, a friend of the show, he says last year's bold kit looked better in person than in pictures. I wouldn't know. I didn't get to see it in person, right? I didn't get to see it in person, so I don't know. So Mike, a new kit. From a player's perspective, like, is this something that you guys discuss like in the off season? Like, oh, I wonder what our kit's going to look like. Is it anything that you guys even care about? Like, what's going through your mind? Are you like one of those guys like, man, I hope they pick me to be the model that I got to go do the strut myself on the catwalk with my new kit on? Like, do you get excited about that? Do the players talk about it? What's going on there?
Yeah, as players, you talk about it. It's exciting. It's Christmas. It's as special as when you get new boots, new gear, any type of gear that's new for the upcoming season. There's a buzz about it, and I'm stoked about the new kit. New kit, who dis? Is what I want to. That's a tag. I'll get FCC. I'll give you one for free. You only have to Venmo me the cash. New kit, who dis? When I was at FC Cincinnati, the kit I loved the most was the all black.
You like the black one?
Bring the all black back. Bring it back. Run that back. Bring it back. Yeah, wow. I know I'm that guy. There's always an outlier, but I just saying bold. I think all black. There's something about all black in MLS that as a third kit that's just savage. More than anything, just stay away from anything that's reminded all of us of the last 2 years. Kits are associated with results. No one remembers some of our favorite teams. No one remembers the kits they wore when they were doggy poo poo. And I'm a Manchester United fan. So are you, Subs.
Yeah.
We remember the kit from '99.
Oh yeah.
The badge, everything. Chelsea, that Adidas kit when they won the Champions League. Arsenal when they're going to get relegated this year. I'll remember the kit they wore. It's all about the kit that's associated with the big result. Bring the black kits back.
I think you made DJ Schweitzer's night right there with that comment. He was a big reason why that black kit happened. I think he was the main proponent of that. So I think he designed it. But yeah, that kit was very divisive. A lot of folks weren't on board with that. A lot of folks were. But yeah, that's interesting that you said that. I don't know if they'll go that anytime soon, but we know the away kit is going to be the white kit again for this year. and then they'll get a new away kit next year,
Yeah.
plus a new home kit next year. So that'll be fun times.
The away kit I thought last year was very clean, very
I liked
very
it, yeah.
nice. I mean, it didn't have the 3 stripes on it, so that was the big thing. But also, it up close, you looked at it and you see the little intricacies, and I'd say it was probably the cleanest away kit that they've had.
Yeah, I really like that. And I'll be honest, I like the 2018 kit, the Nike kit. The orange and blue one. I really like that one. In fact, I even remember where I was when I saw it for the first time. I was in Florida with Bill Wolf as FC Cincinnati was training for that season. You weren't on the team yet, Mike.
No.
Bill and I were down at IMG hanging out with your boy, talking some soccer.
Oh, Justin Hoyt. That's awesome.
No, he was. I guess he would have been there. He was definitely.
Oh, my
there.
other boy. Oh, we'll save that for FC Cincinnati after dark.
Yes.
Yeah, my other boy. I know he's listening.
Yes.
My other boy. Yeah.
But yeah, we would love to know your thoughts, FC Cincinnati fans. What do you want to see with the new kit? We just by reading some of the comments in the chat, a lot of folks want orange. A lot of folks want orange shorts. I don't know if they'll go orange and orange because then we'd be the Dynamo. I don't think we'll do that, but I could definitely see an orange kit next year with blue shorts. But I could also see maybe we'll have a blue kit and orange shorts this year. I think I would like. You know what I think I would like? I think I would like the blue kit with orange shorts and orange socks. That I think is where I kind of hope that they go. I don't think they will, but man, that'd be nice.
Socks are the underrated portion of the kit. You know, you can have the best kit in the world, but if you have bland socks, it just does not fit.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, again, let us know. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Again, we'd love to hear your feedback on the kits. Also, while you're hanging out listening to this podcast, take a moment and go leave a rating and review for the show on Apple Podcasts. A little bit certainly goes a long way. Head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/Apple Podcasts. You can find our show there. Leave us a rating and review. And it certainly helps us in the iTunes. Man, I'm calling it iTunes, not iTunes anymore. The Apple Podcast Library. So do us a favor and go do that while you have a free moment. All right, let's wrap things up here on this Monday edition of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Geoff Tebbetts, as always, we appreciate your efforts here this week. Final thoughts as we wrap up?
Just have one. I mean, there's not a lot of things going on for soccer, especially if you're a Spurs fan like me and seeing them not do too well. Congratulations to Everton for knocking us out. But I'm really excited to see the women play again. The She Believes Cup is going on. Good to see 2 strong results on defense. Rose Lavelle scoring in a 1-0 victory over Canada. And it's great to see the level of competition really, I think, challenging this team. Canada and Brazil really played strong 90 minutes against both squads. I'm great. It's great to see this come alive. I think sometimes some of these games that are 5-0, 6-0, 5-1, you sort of get tired of those results. And I'm glad to see that both teams are bringing the mojo.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Our own coach took over the Twitter feed over the weekend, Coach Brad Goff, and was providing some tactical analysis for that U.S. women's national team game against Brazil. So, yeah, if you like that, let us know. Hit us up at Cincy Soccer Talk on Twitter. And, Geoff, I'm sorry for the weekend that you had with the Spurs. My buddy, Corey, who's listening over in Illinois, is a West Ham fan. And
that's nice.
I know.
That's nice.
He is very. I looked at the table and couldn't believe they were 4th. What?
That's nice.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Should we move on? We'll move on.
Bye, Corey.
Thanks, Geoff. Thank you for being on the show this week, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's chat with the Wolf Man, Bill Wolf. Your final thoughts as we get out of here.
I'm just going to say I am a huge Rose Lavelle fan. So, yeah, it was great to hear Geoff talking about the U.S. women's national team. This is actually a Rose Lavelle scarf right here.
Very cool.
You can't see the Rose Lavelle above me, but yeah, it says Rose. But anyway, my final thoughts came out kind of today, probably multiple sources. The source I saw was the Columbus Dispatch. Jacob Myers, writing for them, spoke to DeWine, and he came out and is saying right now that he's thinking 30% stadium capacity when sports open up. So that would include MLS, and that's pretty good. It was better than I expected. I was kind of thinking we were going to be more in the 20 to 25% range. So 30% as a starting point is kind of looking something like 8,000 fans at West End Stadium, which I think is pretty exciting. I would imagine that number potentially goes up, assuming that we continue to see the numbers going down with the pandemic, and hopefully the vaccine continues to spread. So for all of us who are anxious to get out, get some sun on our backs and some soccer in front of us, I think it's looking very promising for 2021. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we get to see folks in that brand new shiny stadium there in the West End. Bill, as always, appreciate your efforts, buddy.
Love being here.
And last but certainly not least, we wrap things up here with the professional, Mr. Michael Lahoud. Mike, got any final thoughts?
Yeah, one, I'm glad my social media person updated Frankie's Wikipedia. It wasn't coming through my phone. So I'm glad that now it says 20. Thanks. On a less Frankie note, I'm grateful for the little things. I'm grateful. A week ago, something that you almost take for granted, especially being in a place where it's warm. My heart really goes out to the people who were really adversely affected by the snowstorm. And snow is something that happens all around the country. And a lot of people lost a lot of stuff, and their lives were drastically changed and affected. So my heart goes out to them, and I want them to know that I'm thinking of them. And also, there's nothing like the beautiful game. Soccer is what brings people together, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am for this show and the impact it's had on my life, and I think all of our lives, and the fact that we're talking about MLS soccer being back. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that shout out to our Trinity guys. We have our first game this weekend, season opener in Sherman, Texas against Austin College. I know it's a Texas thing. Austin's in Sherman. Sherman's in Austin. No, Austin's in Sherman. But really excited for our guys. And just there's nothing like playing games and having soccer back. They haven't had soccer for a year and a half, played competitive soccer. So I'm really happy to make my coaching debut. And, only time I'll say this is go Tigers.
Will we be able to watch?
Yeah, I'll send you guys. We have the Tiger Network at Trinity University. You can, I think it's at Tiger TV on Twitter, but I'll definitely be tweeting about it and putting out the information for how to follow along. Hopefully the guys listen to half of what I say and do the other half that makes them really good, but really excited for our guys. We've been putting in a lot of good work. I've been really impressed with them. I even got to play in training for the first time this whole preseason, and I was so giddy, I forgot my cleats. So I played in runners. Whoa. And two guys I'll give a shout out to, Wesley Mitchell. He's one of our strikers. I had to mark him. I was playing center back, and he made me almost fall flat on my face. So I'm definitely in retirement mode. So shout out to Wes for putting in the work and putting me in the cleaners. And another guy is one of our really good guys on our team and workhorse, Neil. And I switched off on one play, and there's just things that you only get that sports can give you, and accountability is one of them. And Neil had some very loving words for me in get your head out of your Skyline Chili Bowl, coach. So hey, felt good to be back on the team for a split second as a player, but now I'm really excited for our guys and can't wait for us to make our season opening game worthwhile.
You got some kind words in the chat. This is from FC Cincinnati color analyst and Kingshammer FC head Kevin McCloskey says, "Good luck, Mike. All the best."
Thank you very much, Kev.
and also a fellow Manchester United fan, by the way.
Oh, Kev, yeah, beauty.
Here we go again.
Yeah. So yeah, if Mike, if you're going to be on the air, you better tell your social media guy to get that link out. So
Yeah, no, I mean, he moves fast. He sometimes they both move fast.
all right.
And just glad, Frankie, I'm updated. Wikipedia, you're 20. Just facts, not fiction.
Can you update mine to make me 20?
Yeah. Well, I'm still trying to get verified for Freddie Adu's to make him 20 again. So once I get Freddie's, we'll get to you.
I'm just shocked you have a social media person.
Well,
I think it's cool.
it's for the next podcast.
All right, cool. Maybe I might need one of those. Yeah, right. My wife's probably like, you don't need any more stuff when it comes to this podcast and stuff. As always, Mike, we appreciate you being on the show, bud.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure.
All right. My final thoughts. It's always tough when you've got sad news to discuss. And I always feel like after the show that I wish I would have said something better or more elegant when it comes to sad news. So I'm going to certainly do my best. I don't get down to Cincinnati as often as I would like to watch games and hang out with fans. But when I do, there are a few folks that if I were to see them, I could tell you who they are. I know their names. I've hung out with them. I don't know Alex Nicholson personally, but I've sat with him at a match before. I have hung out with him and his family at Top Cats for our preseason or for our postseason live show we did there a couple years ago for the postseason game against Nashville. I don't know you personally, Alex, but I feel like I do. Just from the few times we've been around one another and seeing stuff on social media. Alex and his wife, Alyssa, had twins. I guess it was just a little over a year ago, roughly a year ago. And they had some troubles with the pregnancy, and Atticus has managed to do well. He's a healthy baby, but unfortunately, Ollie, their son, lost his life last week, and just a really sad story to read about and to hear about. And so from all of us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, Alex and Alyssa, I just want you to know that we are all thinking about you. We're all praying for you. It's never easy to lose somebody so close to you, and to see everything that he battled through. It was just really crushing to see that. And so I just want you to know that everybody here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and honestly, fans, all FC Cincinnati fans, we're with you. And just want to let you know that we're thinking about you and we're praying for you, and we're hoping that you can get through this difficult time. And on that note, we will wrap things up here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Thanks again to Paul Nicholson for joining us here on the show. And so for Geoff Tebbetts, Bill Wolf, and Michael Lahoud, I'm Nick Seuberling. We'll see you next time. Watch your tackle, CS Tears. We'll see you next week.